blast shield down. I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight? I tried to put a little emotion in that too.
That was good.
That was good.
Harkening back to episode 4.
Yes, I wanted Sabine to just go, Uncle Owen, Amberoo, Uncle Owen. Like that. This is
Where
really
are
stealing
you? Lady
Luke's
Ren.
lines. That doesn't make any sense.
Stop
now.
quoting episode 4.
This is why she is the worst Jedi we have ever seen. She does not even know herself.
Yang's just roasting her left and right. Welcome
boy.
back, Star Wars Force family.
Star
we
Wars.
are ready to go. This is a new
Wars.
time for us.
Ooh.
New time for us. Good morning. Good morning if you're tuning in live. If you're watching it back, I guess it doesn't matter. You can listen whenever you want. But as always, we are your hosts, Mike,
Good morning.
Nate. Hello there. And you know him well, Uncle.
Good morning.
We're going to dive into it. We're ready to dive into Ahsoka.
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 Star Wars guys in the morning.
That's the name. That's our intro.
I love the sound of Star Wars in the morning.
This is like
Get your Grogu
the
bone
old-
broth.
this is
And,
it. Get your donuts or your bacon and eggs, whatever.
Your blue milk.
Your blue milk.
You know what I just
and,
realized the other day? Hostess donuts are not pronounced donuts.
That's
Yeah.
a good question. It's like
I've eaten those for 50 years. I thought they were
Donuts.
donuts. I'm like, there's only
Donuts.
one N, you dork. It's a donut. You get it? It's like a donut, but it's smaller, so it's a donut. And I'm
Donut.
I'm a dork it because
Dork
how do you
hat.
not know that's a donut?
That's that's something that's been staring you in the
Little
face for
tidbit.
years. Yeah.
It's a
And finally,
Yeah.
it's the
Bro tip.
finally
It's
figured
the
it out.
Mandela effect on the donuts. I'm
On the
calling them
donuts.
donuts. I don't care, man.
I will
Hey, that's
always
Dinette.
call
Hey,
them.
it's donuts. to
I
you.
will always call them the Berenstein Bears.
Berenstein Bears. Right.
Well, they are.
Berenstain Bears.
Stain.
Yeah.
That sounds bad.
That was because their pants were always stained because they were just dirty.
So you're not
bears.
eating donuts in the
Just
morning talking
dirty
about
bears.
Ahsoka.
So they're just-
See, we bring it all the
Just
way
dirty
around.
Bring it
bears.
all the way back to
Alrighty.
Ahsoka. But no, we're excited. This may have been the shortest episode of Ahsoka. For
it was definitely
this
the
season.
shortest episode of Ahsoka.
But,
I think it's also
a lot
the
to
first
unpack.
season of Ahsoka. So both of those things you said
Shortest
are true.
of
This season of Ahsoka.
Of any.
And
Yeah.
any season of Ahsoka.
Oh.
This is the shortest. Yeah, so those things are very true. I just wanted to affirm what you were suggesting.
Let's
Yeah.
use that
Very
phrase
true.
For
more. I
those
like
that
the
don't
sound
know, the
of-
future episodes are coming. That are
The
coming
season
out.
of
This
Ahsoka.
is gonna
I like
be the
the way-
shortest one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
I thought you also meant the shortest just so far. So I was like, yeah, that's
Well, yeah,
that's a
obviously, there's
very.
only been 3 episodes.
Is it the shortest?
That's why.
I knew you were being smart, Alec, but I
No,
figured
no.
I would include the rest of our viewers in on what's actually going on. That of the future episodes that are coming out,
It is.
Ooh.
it is also the shortest.
I thought it was the shortest of any episode of any live action. Is it
I
not?
think
If
there
one
might have
is
been
shorter,
a Mando episode
Mando, that was 30.
that was close. There's definitely
There
been
was
some Mando
Mando.
episodes that are like 32,
Yeah.
33.
Yeah.
Yeah, close.
28 minutes of which
this
are
was
Jack
essential.
Black.
Oh, it's right.
That should have been shorter.
If only it sang Peaches on the. We're totally off the rails.
We're totally
okay.
off the rails. But yeah,
Yes.
Talk about
shortest
Ahsoka.
episode, but still a lot to unpack.
A lot.
A lot, especially.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. Maybe we'll dive into it, but I'm wondering how fans are doing of the show that have not seen Rebels.
Yeah.
I'm curious because obviously there's a ton of stuff.
Go ahead and
so
type
far
that in the
from
chat
Rebels.
if you would.
But
Yeah.
Those who
While you're
joined us
driving
at
in your car on
6:30
your way to
a.m.
work. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
while you're on your way to work,
I'm
It's a good
interested.
question.
My kids haven't. Ellie and Micah, and they're doing fine.
Yeah, I feel like this is a show. I feel like they're doing a good job so far of having enough things that I feel like you understand the basic plot of what's going on.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Rebels, but that there's also so much there for those who do.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Jason Sandula of it all, the Purgle, all of this stuff that we've seen
Is that
that are
a whale
is that a
flying
space whale?
in
Anyone who
the
hasn't seen
atmosphere?
Rebels, what is happening?
Why is there a whale in
Yeah,
space?
and then you explain it. And I was thinking about this on the way over here.
Explaining it doesn't help.
Yeah, I was thinking this on the way over here. Like, man, if you hadn't seen, if you didn't know what the Purgle were, and you see a space whale, flying around eating up the gas of the local atmosphere because it's gassing up to literally go
Mhm.
across hyperspace to a different galaxy, you'd be like, what? I've never seen anything like that. That's also the exact reaction we had while watching.
Yeah, right.
Rebels.
We thought
So
we
this
just got it
isn't like,
earlier.
this isn't like, oh yeah, this is something we've lived with for a long time. This is, you don't know what purgil are? We're like, no, we had the same reaction
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a few
We
years
felt the
back.
same
We were
way.
like,
Yeah.
space whales?
Yeah.
Puffer pigs? Whoa, Lando
Well,
rides a
yeah.
puffer pig. No,
Yeah.
I don't think he rode the puffer
Lando
pig,
rides
but
puffer
Should have.
you should have. That would have been better.
We got
Um,
Derpy in the chat said he wasn't the biggest fan of this episode. It was too short. It was definitely
It
short.
was short.
Anything else about it? I know it's
Uh,
short.
Yeah.
Said he hadn't
That's
seen
my one-
Rebels,
That's
but he
my
did
one-
watch him. He did get some education from YouTube about the series.
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Nice. I was gonna say, yeah, my
That
one nitpick would have been just the length for me, and
Yeah.
that's not like. And again, when I say that, it's not like, oh, this episode should have been longer, because it might be perfect for the exact story they're gonna tell. Because I
Yeah.
don't know how much time they need for the next episode. I also don't know what goes into Disney Plus in general. It seems like not just Star Wars, but a lot of the Marvel shows are doing this too. I'm not sure what it is business wise. There has to be some specific reason why they have a lot of these shorter episodes,
Yeah.
because it doesn't have to do with commercial length. And every episode of Lost was the same episode. Or
Yeah.
it was not the same episode.
It
It was the same length.
length.
It was
Right.
the exact same episode.
And they were awesome.
They were awesome every single time. But it's the same length because that's how network television worked. Where
Right.
you have,
Yeah.
if you have an hour-long episode, it's about 43 to 45 minutes of television. You have
Yeah.
the 15 minutes of commercials, and
Yeah.
that's it. But this is always an interesting choice when you have like a 56, like first episode 56, then you have a 33 or something. You're like, it does feel different. Like the lengths feel very different because they are.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, that's my only. And it's not like, oh, it should have been this. It's just like, when it ends, I'm always like, oh man, I wanted more.
And the contrast couldn't
Yeah.
have been more stark. We
Yeah.
literally have a movie,
Yes.
almost 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get
Yes, exactly. From
37.
the premiere,
From the first
very
two
back
next
to
week.
back
episodes.
to
Yeah.
this, then it feels
Yeah.
really short.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
But
well,
that was my own. That's my only.
me too.
You know, my
I thought it
only
was great.
thing that
I
was
think
like,
so, too.
I thought it was great. I thought it was fast paced as far as the because it's a shorter episode. They did have a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there's every scene is fast. I think they take their time talking about the one of my favorite scenes of this show so far probably is essentially it feels like you're sitting down at a table with George Lucas and
David.
and Filoni. Yeah, David.
I think I call him
David.
David.
I like to call him
Davey.
Cowboy Dave Filoni. And it feels like we're just listening to them talk about their philosophy of their beliefs of the Force, like
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
philosophy of
right.
who can wield the Force. The Force resides in
Yeah.
all living things, and I liked, because we talked about this a little bit before. I liked that they went into detail about Sabine's capabilities, Force-wise, her potential
Yeah.
struggles using the Force, because we had said. Not that things should or shouldn't happen, but we were worried as Star Wars Rebels fans that, oh man, we watched 4 seasons of Rebels.
And then
I would
this
feel a
hit-
little uneasy if they all of a sudden this show comes on and
She
they're
just-
like, she's just moving the Force like she's Luke Skywalker. We're
Right,
like, we've
right.
never seen that, and
Yeah.
also
Right.
would have felt like, I understand that everyone, the Force, in the Star Wars galaxy, or in the Star Wars universe, I can't say galaxy anymore, there are multiple galaxies, but that the Force resides in all living things, so there are different people can manipulate the Force, but that everyone is connected to the Force in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they were like, Ahsoka says, but talent does play a factor.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
Filoni has
Right.
said, Filoni or maybe it's
Midichlorians,
even-
however, do not.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Filoni's like, it's kind of there.
Yeah,
but
it's the talent,
I'm not gonna-
and the way I take talent for them is I think it could
It's
be
all
tied
of
to the midichlorians.
It
It's
is.
like someone's
Natural ability.
Michael Jordan's genetics are
Yeah.
different.
midichlorians is a way of saying you're naturally inclined.
You're naturally
Yeah.
gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
like someone's natural talents.
Yeah.
So we all know some athletes, whether
Right.
we've played with them, I've played with some, who do not work as hard as others, and they reach a similar level to someone who has very little natural talent and works
Worked really
Shaq,
like
massive midichlorian count.
yes, exactly.
Kobe,
Kobe,
massive work.
exactly, massive work.
Yeah,
That's
right,
that's the
right.
same thing.
Massive
It's
work.
so I loved those discussions and I liked listening to it. I think the last thing I wanted to say on that moment of the episode was I think it was an old George Lucas interview or something a long time ago. I think it was Lucas who said that to him, the Force, like his philosophy of who can wield the Force, is like, I think he used the example of like, it's anyone can learn karate. Some people have better hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
And are stronger and are quicker, and they're going to be better at it and naturally pick it up a lot quicker.
Right.
But it's about the discipline of studying, of learning, that you can enter the realm of saying, I do karate.
Yeah.
Now, there are people who do karate, and then there are, Bruce Lee martial arts masters out there.
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker is very different from Sabine. But I like that as a way of
Yeah.
I like
showing
the whole,
that
the
not
whole
all
idea
Jedi are.
of
It's not like you
training.
reach the level of Jedi, and so now, he has these natural abilities, she doesn't, and now they're the same. They're not the same, and she even says, I don't need her to be a Jedi, I just need her to be herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I
Yeah,
like
I
that a
thought it was
lot
good.
too. I like the entire montage, honestly, of her going through the training, also with like the samurai sword-esque like training tools and stuff that they're using. Little Grievous shout out with the
multiple
Yang with
Hu-Yangs.
the four arms for the training.
And Lo Kanan shout out as far as the training with the wooden sticks and
That's right.
blind.
And
That
blind,
blind.
yeah. We
just
got
had a-
Darth in the chat. Hello, everybody. Finally, a good stream time for me. Hey,
Wow.
welcome.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Star Wars guys in the morning. Tell your friends.
I love
True.
the sound of Star Wars guys in the morning. Hey, did you think I just thought of this. So, of course, Ahsoka would have been familiar with Anakin's story.
Yeah.
She would have been familiar with the fact that the Jedi Council said he won't be trained
Yeah.
because, I sense much fear. He's too old, whatever.
He's too old. That's back then. That's
They're
before they said, Luke, you're 19. We'll train you because we're
Exactly.
desperate.
So all of these rules that preclude people for
Yeah.
whatever reason, very strict. Ahsoka's like, no, I know what happened then. I don't think it was right.
Yeah.
I think we can open this up to other people for different reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
more,
we talked
yeah.
a little bit about
she says
this
the
too.
Jedi failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, we've done this for a millennium.
Exactly.
She's like, and they failed.
And
Right.
they
It
failed.
was interesting.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this too. Of like, there's also just not many left.
Mhm.
Like,
you gotta
there's
take
not many left. So, at what point, as Ahsoka or
Mhm.
anybody who even yields the Force, that wants to take on a Padawan that may not have someone there, but
Yeah.
still recognizes the positive aspects of the training, of not just training in combat, but the like morals, the code, what they
Yeah.
kind of live by,
Yeah.
to bring someone on that maybe doesn't yield the Force in the same regard to a Jedi that would be taken into the
For
Order. They could see that as, I could see them being like, well, there's not many left, so let's.
Mhm.
Sabine would be, if you put the other candidates aside, I would look at Sabine as probably the best candidate of the non-Force yielders, right?
Yeah.
With her already having training with the Darksaber,
Mhm.
obviously her Mandalorian background, the armor itself.
Mhm.
So she's already been proven to put up a fight against
Yeah.
strong,
Right.
Inquisitors and all kinds of people. So
Yeah. No,
Good,
for sure.
good.
I think it's I think it was really good too. Just I liked the way they did that training scene was good because we've seen. I was actually watching this episode with my wife Abigail, and Abigail has not seen Rebels, but she's asked some questions about it, and I've been filling her in because she's watched these first 3 episodes now of Ahsoka with me, and she said, like, while we were watching it live, she goes, "Oh, I really like that this scene is not." That this is not just natural ability, like we start, my voice is over here, and then you start figuring it out and boom boom boom, because we've seen that 100 times in different movies and Star Wars
Yeah.
and different things of like a little bit of advice and then it clicks for you, when in reality most training stuff is not like that. I'm currently trying to get better at golf. I watched a YouTube video trying to get better at it. It doesn't go, now I'm amazing at golf. It's like,
You
then I
Obi-Wan.
struggle through it, then I try to make some adjustments, and then I struggle some more, and then I try to make some adjustments. So I like the fact that they did show some positive improvement. Like, at first, she's wrong. She's doing the, I saw someone called it the the pinata technique of like, I don't know where it is, but I'm just gonna start hacking away at it.
Yeah.
Like, I think if I
Yeah.
swing hard, I'm gonna get it. But then she starts figuring out a little bit. but then she gets so frustrated by it that she's defeated immediately and knocked down easily because Ahsoka says, it imbalances you. If you play into your emotions and your anger and your frustrations, it can give you quick power in the moment, but it makes you off balance.
Luke and Empire Strikes Back.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And Vader calms down.
As we watched it, there was a little marathon on TV the other day.
I love the fact it felt. I mentioned this. We were watching it. I felt like Filoni was playing with us a little bit. We had, of course, we're flying through hyperspace. We're using the Force training on a starship, going to a mission, and here we are with the Master training the Padawan. We're back to, it felt like episode 4 again.
Yes.
But all of it
Yeah.
was a kind of going back to that, playing around in that area. But he also kind of reminded us that it happened pretty quick for Luke.
Yeah.
Like literally, he goes from nothing to deflecting shields from deflecting blaster shots. So they kind of set a new standard, a new explanation for not only Jedi but the Force training.
Yeah.
They've also told us it's not going to work like it did with Luke.
It also
Sabine's
emphasizes
not Luke.
How special Luke was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes Luke look better in a sense that he
People don't do
caught
that.
on because he was special.
That's right.
You're not that, so you need to start small by trying with this cup.
Exactly. It's going to take a little more time.
Exactly.
It was cool. I loved it.
No, I love that too. I think it's this episode was fun because even though it was quick, it had a lot of like Star Wars lore stuff, like meaning like stuff that I like. I like when this is warning. Ryan Johnson, Last Jedi mentioned boo 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 boo. I love The Last Jedi. But that's one of the things I love about a movie like The Last Jedi, or some of these movies that I'm like, I like a movie that not just is contained in story, but makes me think, oh, as a whole, does this change the way I view the Jedi or the Force or
speaks to a
lightsabers
larger
or anything where I like
narrative.
something that I can sit there and think about for a while? And this is a good reminder of this is not just here's a relationship between us two, because they're like these two characters, because there's a lot of that. There's a very good character episode from Hera, from Ahsoka, from we'll get to Senator Ziono, Nate. That's Kaz's dad. Do you remember from Resistance?
Yeah.
He's a senator that showed up in this. He's actually the one who got a little smack talk from Hera. Hera's like, were you even in the war? And he's like, no, I was not. So he just sat back to see who was going to win. He's like,
Hera's a rebel at heart. It's
I
like,
know. She can't help it.
Yeah,
and of course, the next scene is then her saying, they didn't approve us.
It was it's a no.
I wonder. It's a no. I don't think I'm even allowed to go on any other missions ever. But I loved the fact that we had the character development stuff, but also the big grand scheme Force, like big ideology stuff is always interesting. So I thought that was great. That was great.
We got and I'm curious because we talked a little bit about this last week. Paul Allen just joined the chat. Welcome. He said, I like the episode, but I'm starting to have a little bit of a problem with Ahsoka. She doesn't seem to be very sympathetic. And it didn't seem like it lines up very well with the animated version of her. I know we talked a little bit about this last week.
Good observation.
And we kind of had similar thoughts.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you guys feel the same after this episode? What do you guys think?
Do you want to lead off this one?
I do feel the same.
Yeah.
If you notice, it seems like the only time she smiles is when she's fighting.
You said that while we were watching.
Why is it? Like and I think she's had so many interactions with people who have either let her down or failed, or relationships have been broken, attachments have been destroyed. Yeah. I think she's sad.
But that was always part of what made Ahsoka is that even though those things happened, she was always like Anakin in a sense that she was always optimistic.
Yes.
And right now,
but that was that was definitely a lot of Clone Wars.
That was.
If you do watch
it changed
Rebels,
at the end.
And if you do watch Rebels,
right.
She's not like jokey, this or that. She's definitely a little more sad, stoic. She's not mean. I would say in this, she's a little bit more, a little colder. A little colder, especially she has a relationship with Sabine, some of which was off camera that we haven't seen, where we know there were some struggles there.
Right.
But I think it's interesting. I think you were just touching on it a little bit. I do think it's intentional. Obviously, this is a character that Dave Filoni loves. This is a character he created. So I think the way he's directing her I thought she had great range of emotions in this though. In the scenes when they're fighting and she finally has to trust Sabine.
Yeah.
And she goes from
do it my way.
Yeah.
To what do you need?
And Hu Yang says, Hu Yang has a good line of well, we're not going to be alive if both of you keep acting the way you're acting.
Yeah.
So if both of you keep doing what you're doing, he's not like Sabine's being stubborn and you're right. He's like, yes, Sabine's being stubborn and she's struggling. And also you're just just listen to me. You don't. And she said, you took away my presets. Yeah, I didn't need them. And and then she's like, all right, do this. And then it's not working. It's not working. And she's getting frustrated. And then finally, Rosario Dawson has this great moment of acting where she says so much with just her face and her eyes. And she's like, okay, what do you need? And then then it was they start, boom, boom. What do you need? Okay. And then she starts getting excited and she does start smiling.
Mm-hmm.
When she comes back in the ship after she does her nice flip on the ship. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
She comes back in. The first thing she said was, that was a nice trick. You got any more? And she had opened herself back up and was a little more warm towards her.
Yeah. I wonder if going off what you're saying, I completely recognize that. That was probably one of my favorite moments too, of her kind of recognizing that change. And I wonder if they're intentionally making her seem a little more cold at this point.
Yeah.
Which does, we talked about it. It does feel a little different than how we've seen her in the past in the Rebel show. But I wonder if that's part of what they're trying to do with her being a master now, of kind of showing her she is a little cold because of the stuff she's gone through, but she also needs to open up to the idea of letting go a little bit and not just being completely in control of everything that Sabine's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We need a character arc here.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka's character arc from Clone Wars is from the young, naive kid to the Jedi that we know, right?
Yeah.
So now we're getting from that cold loner, who's been out there.
She's been alone. Yeah, she is. She's been
has to stay hidden out there by herself to to working together.
Yeah.
And Sabine is going to be she's more the chaotic rebel coming back to a order. Right?
Do we think are the three of us in agreement that we think that the feeling of why she is a little bit cold or closed off emotionally? One, it sounds like she's a little hesitant because of the struggle she's had training Sabine, and that didn't work out great the first time. But do we think that it stems from the fact that at this point in the timeline, she knows what happened to Anakin, and everything that she was before was such a branch off. She was the perfect Padawan to Anakin. She learned a lot of she learned the positive things from Anakin.
Yeah.
And a lot of what made her as far as not just made her as a person, but what she was as a Jedi. She took a lot of the good qualities from Anakin that, Anakin broke the rules sometimes, but it was until he started veering into the dark side.
Right.
A lot of it was just that he would push back against the stoic boundaries of the Jedi, that he thought the Jedi were sometimes heartless.
Yeah.
Because they would make these calculated big picture moves of, because we're afraid of falling to the dark side or doing this, we cannot show outward love towards a lot of people. We have to just be, we are this, we are by the book. That sometimes means leave a man behind, leave a woman behind, because if we go back, we might get into worse trouble, which leads to worse outcome. Where Anakin goes, we don't leave anyone behind.
Good. Right.
If we go back and that puts us in danger, then we deal with what comes next. Like Anakin's like, we always go back, we always do this. Where and then Ahsoka was that, but even a little bit kinder, kind of the way she went about it. But then it feels like finding out the person that she looked up to and was like an older brother to her, essentially, then has the biggest fall of anyone. That would then make her retreat and be like, well, maybe I need to look at myself and just change what I'm doing, because maybe I fall risk of doing the same thing.
Am I too emotional?
So emotional? Yeah, because now it feels like she's reverted back the other way. I don't know. I wonder, is that what we think, that's one of the main reasons, one of the driving forces behind kind of her change maybe of being more guarded?
Yeah,
or is it just different? It's just, or it's just live action shows different than
I think
animated
it's-
shows
I think
sometimes.
it's
All of it.
a little. Yeah, I was gonna say all of it. I
Yeah.
think you're right. I also think Uncle kind of hit it earlier too when he just said there's a character arc. It's
Yeah.
a-
Yeah,
it's
she's
her
also
own
not a child
show.
anymore.
She's not a child anymore, and now this is her becoming this person who's kind of been a loner and lived through maybe not necessarily a lot of her own failures, but failures of the people she was with, the Jedi,
Mhm.
the Republic falling, and living through that. Her master, and Anakin becoming arguably the worst person in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So living through that, I could see how she would be cautious with training, or training not like being a little more, becoming more of that. I don't want to get as attached.
Yeah.
But now with her trying to take on this role of becoming a master and having an apprentice, it could be that idea of her story arc in this, of both of them, not just Sabine, but Ahsoka also kind of meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
And I thought they portrayed it pretty well in that scene, like you had said earlier, with her acting of recognizing, like, just listen to me, like that mentality, and then understanding when Hu Yang says that the way both of you are acting, and then she realizes, like, okay, I need to be the adult in this situation and recognize, like, basically be vulnerable and say, okay, what do you need? I can
Humble
because
myself.
it all
I need to
humble
humble
yourself.
myself.
But
Yeah.
also, when she did it, it reminded me of what she had said earlier in the episode: is I need to let Sabine be Sabine.
Mhm.
And if she really believes that, she would stop trying to tell
Make
her to
her
do
into
all the stuff
you.
she wants.
Right.
And I think she's
right.
kind of listening to her own words in that moment when she recognizes she takes off the presets. Well, that was Sabine.
Yeah.
Sabine needed it. Maybe
Yeah.
she didn't, but Sabine needed it.
Mhm.
And so it's like, I need to let Sabine be Sabine and then train her from that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of parallels in this episode 4.
Definitely,
Just
for sure. I was just thinking of a couple more. Also,
because they have they're in the ship. They're going to Alderaan. They're
they say, "Is that
on-
space? Something's on my reader. Is it a space station? No, it's something of." And I'm like,
exactly. We're going to a space
well, that's
station.
no moon. Except
Yeah.
No moon. And they have the discussion on the way, and they have a space battle when they. That
Mhm.
was on the way out, but they have a a similar dogfight kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sabine jumps in the, put the headset on. Everything was, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A lot
great.
happened.
Don't get cocky. Yeah.
I expected that.
exactly, Yeah.
Nice shot, kid. Don't get cocky.
Exactly. It was that moment. It was that feel for
Come
sure.
on, baby, hold together. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Ahsoka getting out onto the
Spacesuit.
Yeah.
spacesuit?
Yeah.
That moment was awesome.
That felt very Rebels and Clone Wars.
Clone
And that
Wars.
felt
I
very
thought that episode-
Anakin-esque. Didn't it
Yeah.
feel like such
It
a...
did.
This episode also had moments that reminded me of the Plo Koon Stranded episode.
Exactly
And-
what I was
right?
thinking of.
Where the ship is dead in space, essentially.
Yep.
That's where they're not going to give him up. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's it. When she said, "I'm going out there," I had the same reaction as Sabine.
going
I'm
out
going
there.
out there. And then, like,
Man.
and then I loved.
Also, just seeing her sabers ignite like in space with the dark background, that was cool.
Also, of course, she's lived her whole life with this style of head shape. So of course they would have a helmet that fits her.
Yeah.
But it was also hilarious. Like I loved it right when we saw. I was like, of course they have a helmet that literally fits exactly
Yeah.
what it would be.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But that was very cool of going out there, deflecting. I mean, it was hard. Like it wasn't like straight on deflecting. Like this wasn't like
not
Clone
gonna
Wars right back
handle
at
it.
the You're
Right.
not handling it,
Yeah.
directing it back to them. But she was hitting the
Mhm.
blasters. They were coming in from the ships, and then the actual slicing of
Ray
the
moment.
wing.
Yeah.
It was the Ray moment for sure, and
Yeah.
the flip
And the
was
flip.
very
flip.
Ray-esque.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was.
exactly like that. Especially
A little
because
slower because.
well, what's funny is the Ray
Yeah, it
moment's
was
in
cool.
slow motion though,
Yeah.
It is.
You know,
That's
it's
true.
slow
It is
motion.
slow motion.
and this is in space, so it actually felt even more similar.
Yeah.
Probably.
Ahsoka has I call it the Qui-Gon calm. It's like
Yeah.
just this
Yeah.
coolness. You get it going? Okay, come and get me. Like
yeah.
I'm floating
Yeah.
away.
In the first
They're
couple
coming back. All right,
episodes,
come get me.
Come get me.
in the first couple episodes when the assassin droids are surrounding her and she's just smiling of like,
Yeah.
there's not a doubt in her mind that okay, I'm gonna mow
No,
through
she doesn't
all of
feel
you.
like she's
Right.
ever in
even with the
in
Inquisitor,
danger.
even with Mark. How do you say Mark?
Mark.
Mark. Which
Right.
we're starting to learn. Okay, let's actually go to there.
Who is it?
Who is it? A lot of
Well,
people.
Before we do that, I
Who
just
is
want to touch
Oh,
on one thing
I
here.
jumped the gun, I
Paul
jumped the
said
gun.
he's talking about the Ahsoka thing, which is why I want to mention this about her kind of feeling a little cold, says, if they explain it later on in the show, that'd be okay, but right now, Ahsoka looks like the worst of the characters. I'm much more interested in Balin and his goals.
Oh, I'm very interested in Balin.
Yeah.
I'm
Even just that
and
stare
the
at the end.
the reason I wanted to bring that up is because we had talked
That's
about
a
this too.
happy-go-lucky kind of
I'm
fella.
definitely interested in his character.
Yeah.
For sure. And some of that still stems from the first 2 episodes, from the premiere episode.
Yeah.
Well, because he's barely
He's
in
just-
it this episode.
He's just he is barely in it, but he's so interesting in the sense, like, that one line of him talking about having to kill Ahsoka being unfortunate because there's very few Jedi left.
Right.
Immediately I was like, oh, there's a lot of depth to this character that
Mhm.
we haven't unpacked yet.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know. It's just
And we know
it's
that
not the typical Sith, dark side user you would think of.
we
No.
know that the moment is coming from the trailer where those two face off in a lightsaber
With the star
showdown.
map, yeah.
With that star map place where Morgan Elsbeth was looking at the
Yeah.
the star map. I can't wait for that scene. We've seen in the trailers that's when he mentions Anakin Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone in the in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker, but very few knew what he became or lived to see what he became.
Yeah.
Like that, I can't wait for that just conversation.
Yeah.
That the battle will be something cool, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the discussion is what I want, because anything
Yeah.
that every time they bring up Anakin, or Ahsoka has to bring up Anakin, I immediately lean forward and go, oh, like I
Where's
just
it
want to
going?
hear how
Yeah,
she's
right.
processing this. I
Right.
want to. That's one of the biggest things I want to
I know.
continue to
I know it.
unpack there. But yeah, Balin's Balin's in the episode for like 30 seconds at the end, and he's talking about going, telling them to hunt them down in the woods, and I'm like, all right, we have a nice hunt in the woods next episode. That's going to be pretty
Like
cool.
a dog. Hunt
like-
them down.
Like a dog.
Like a dog. Hunt them.
Hunt them
Hunt
out.
them down.
It's just turned into a Balin as Trump impression.
Oh,
Paul-
man, that'd be
Paul-
a great meme. Just put Trump's head on
On
Balin.
everybody. Paul
I'm
also
sorry.
said Filoni is constantly referring to the Star Wars movies, The Phantom Menace, and now A New Hope.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. This was. Did we just both do 2 definitely?
Definitely.
We did.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Feels like Filoni is taking some of the script from his animation and moving it to live action. Yeah, could be. Some ideas maybe he had, bringing them. Are the lightsabers orange or are they red? They definitely have an oranger tint to them.
That is a characteristic of Shin's saber specifically, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Balin's
Shin?
is a little bit too, but it's the orangest tint is
Yeah.
it's
I
not
saw,
it's not
I
just
saw Dave talking about it too.
yeah, it's not just changing red, but it's
Yeah.
the her
Yeah.
tint. Yeah.
How about Shin?
Filoni
Telling-
mentioned that he wanted it. He intentionally
More
did
like
that to
old.
be a little like nod to the original Vader look
Yeah,
of how there was a little orange.
because you can't get it
tint.
perfectly
wasn't
red.
pure
and-
red
No.
right,
at the
right,
time.
yeah.
Just like it
So
wasn't
he
pure
wanted it to
blue.
be.
It was
It
like
wasn't
a
pure
bluish
blue,
white.
yeah.
They're all white.
And so
Very
he
light.
wanted to make it a little. Now it looks like it may even be a little bit more orange than that, but
Yeah.
he wanted to kind of give a
Go
nod. He
back.
had talked about, and he's like, "Well,
Yeah, I
I
remember that.
wanted to give a little nod to the
Mm-hmm.
original, what he grew up with playing and thinking of Vader
Yeah.
as a little orange."
Since
tint
you
to it.
mentioned
Yeah.
Shin, how about her? I like her little moment of one very cool space. We talked about space battle stuff, and it was very cool with her kind of fleet that she's leading, and then her little kind of jab back at Morgan. It's like, you almost got her. We'll take it from here.
Yeah,
And, like,
right.
she's-
Yeah.
it's interesting.
She's not on board.
as the as the Padawan too, standing up to Morgan, because they
Congrats.
don't. It's interesting the relationship between Morgan and did Morgan directly hire those two? Because it feels like obviously they're working with Morgan.
Yeah.
It also feels like if they wanted to at any second, if they felt like, this isn't our best interest, we could just turn on her. Not turn and go bad,
Yeah.
or turn and go good, but turn and just be like, oh, we could wipe her out if we wanted to. That was a little interesting moment of, we've gotten some more stuff from Shin in the previous episodes where, Master, what, if Thrawn does return, where does that leave us? Are we
Yeah.
actually doing this? And that type of a thing. And then this was interesting. Yeah, power beyond what you could imagine, or something like that. But this was great. That moment. You almost. It was very sarcastic. Yeah, you almost got her. We'll take it from here. Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that space. So the Purgle with the space whales. For anyone who has not watched Star Wars Rebels. They've hinted at these. They've talked about them, obviously, now and shown them. They finally showed them in their full glory. I liked how much they looked like. Obviously, they had they have tentacle-like things, but the main body of the whale is very whale-like. It didn't look like just some space creature monster we've never seen. It's like it has I
thought they looked great.
I don't know what I'm not George Costanza. I'm not a marine biologist. I don't know what the whale ripples, those wrinkles are called, but they got the whale wrinkles underneath or whatever.
Right.
They're chin wrinkles. I call them the Thanos chin wrinkles.
They're called whipples.
Whipples, yeah. But I thought they looked really cool.
Yeah.
And they have. It's so interesting that something that was introduced in Rebels that initially was so kind of strange and almost goofy, and people were like, space whales, puffer pigs, what's going on here, are now such a very important part of obviously the end of Rebels,
huge.
but now huge in this.
Well, we got
which
we I kind of figured this may be it and how they had an idea of where Thrawn was, but it's their migration.
Yeah.
It's
They
their
have a pattern, and
so they figured if this is where the Purgles, where do they go? Thrawn must be there.
They're there.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. No, for sure.
You guys have predictions?
I thought they looked great
for next. We thought
let's
maybe
talk about
Thrawn this one.
Merrick with that.
Are they going to go? Are they going to go next one? Or is it going to be one?
So
more?
fight in the woods is part of next episode.
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe fight in the woods plus Baylan Ahsoka showdown because that's on the same planet. That makes sense that would all happen next episode.
Yeah.
And maybe next episode ends with them going. Because in the trailer we saw we've seen a little bit of the lightsaber battle in the woods, just a couple of clips. So we've seen a little bit of that, and obviously with the way this ends on a cliffhanger of hunt them down or
kill them all.
That's what's coming.
So I expect.
Kill them. Kill them all.
That's not it.
So I think definitely that's a big portion of next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder. So we're talking predictions. If we are predicting, do we think that they? I'm just gonna take your exact same question, pretending I came up with it. Do we think that they go next episode?
I think the fight in the woods is going to be a large part of it, probably.
I think that'll be a large part of it.
I was going to try to do your whole quote.
That was good. A large part in the woods, and because we've seen it in the trailer.
Of course, it's going to.
I don't know. I think if they
I don't think we do.
take the jump next episode, it would be at the end. I don't think they do. I think it'll be in one more before a jump
I think so.
happens. I don't think they ever jump.
They never do. It fails. They can't go.
Joel in the chat, Joel Horton says, "Hey, Star Wars guys, love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for tuning in
Yeah.
to Star Wars Guys. Star Wars Guys in the morning on Crystal
Meanwhile,
Sis.
it's 6:30 in the morning.
Darth says, theory, Baylan wants to create his own Jedi Order using the World Between Worlds. We'll get to that in a second. I like it. We'll get to that in a second.
That's cool.
But do we think the jump happens? I don't think it happens next episode.
Jump next episode. Thumbs up, thumbs down. 1, 2, 3. No, okay.
Thumbs down.
I'm thinking it's the next one after that.
Yeah.
Jump on episode.
Jump on
How about episode 6? Chapter 5.
Chapter
Part 4. Part 5.
Yeah, I don't think we.
I saw somebody saying, "Wait, it's a whale. It's a big ring. Are they just gonna lure one of these whales into the?
They're gonna catch it and then ride the wave, baby.
Right? Whoa.
It's all just it's a saddle. It's a saddle.
They actually didn't need any engines. It's just a big
It's
saddle.
just a giant saddle.
It's a saddle.
You see next episode, it's Baylan going,
Just reeling them in.
trying to just catch
Lasso.
Turns
He's
into Moby
lasso.
Dick.
Yeah.
lasso. Yeah.
Okay.
that's
What
it.
about the predictions? Who's gonna die?
Oh, these are always fun.
Do you think-
predictions.
Not Sabine. She can't.
Not Sabine. Ahsoka's the show, right?
You're saying Sabine?
Sabine can't. They already teased us with the
No way.
saber in the gun.
That's right.
I think that Sabine could die at the end of this season. As an
Nah.
old lady in her bed. I just watched
As an
Titanic
old
the other
lady.
day. You know, warm in her bed. Abigail and I
Imagine-
just watched
Hayden
Titanic. the other
Christensen
day.
is now
Yeah,
playing
he's now
the part
Leonardo
of Leo.
DiCaprio, I guess, and I don't know what's going on there. Rose. Listen to me, Rose. Blow Anaheim.
I'm wondering
Uh,
about Shin, Balin,
I think-
Morgan.
Ooh,
All of
I
these are
think
pawns
Baylan-
in Thrawn's deal.
Yeah.
Thrawn Pawns.
Thrawn pawns,
One of them has to go.
right?
I could
too
see
big for everybody.
I could see Balin.
I could see Balin.
I could see Balin and Shin both, I guess. I don't think Thrawn's going to die in this show because I believe that Thrawn is kind of being set up as the big bad for the Filoni movie.
For the movie.
Because they have talked about the movie as an Imperial remnant.
Yeah,
that would
thing.
be
And if you lose Thrawn, it's like well, now.
What other
I'm not really
remnants
that
are we
worried
talking
about? The remnants,
Right.
except that we know that later First Order is coming. But as far as the actual remnants that we know now, Thrawn's the guy, especially after Moff Gideon, was barbecued.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's true. Maybe he's just really.
no one's really ever.
Do you think that any of this, like maybe even the power that Balin's referring to, is tied to World Between Worlds, or do you think they won't go there?
Well, what's interesting is World Between Worlds that we've seen is not in another galaxy. It's actually here, so it wouldn't be something to travel to. I have some thoughts about this World Between Worlds thing. I know there's random, and Nate even posted a little something about some rumors and stuff about potential things that might happen in this show and things that could happen. And
rumors.
It sounds World Between World-esque as far as some of the rumors. But I'm trying to think of. It's almost like those feel like two separate things. Almost like I'm wondering how we get to.
That's
how we get to World Between Worlds, or why that would be. I'm not questioning like if it's necessary. But I'm trying to right now. The pathway seems very clear as far as where's the show going.
Right.
It is the we're trying to get to this galaxy. We're the hunt to find Ezra on the dark side. It's the hunt to bring Thrawn back to restore the Empire, have their second wave, and then this war. Essentially, potential war breaking out, which I think is a lot of the movie is going to be about that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we can't go that way, but it feels like right now it would be weird almost if before we got to this galaxy that then we're like, oh, let's actually veer off into this World Between Worlds thing. Feels like right now there's a pretty urgent mission to get there because Morgan Elsbeth is like, we're determined. We were putting in the last, hyperdrive engine. We're going there.
Yeah.
It's almost like then once we come back, I don't know. But the reason I bring this up is World Between Worlds is an important thing in Rebels.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in it had to do with Ahsoka, and because of some of the artwork and everything, and you're wearing the shirt right now. Is that more star mappy though than World Between Worlds?
Oh, it's definitely star mappy.
Yeah.
Because initially though, people thought that was World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
Because that looks like the similar.
Yeah. I wonder if kind of what you're saying, like they're making a big deal of going there and then coming back because World Between Worlds does take place. Not that it couldn't exist in the other galaxy as well, but we've seen it take place in this galaxy.
Yeah.
I wonder if what they're going to is literally just to get Thrawn because he has knowledge of that, of World Between Worlds, of that stuff, and the only time
Ezra has it too.
It does feel like and Ezra does too, and it does feel somewhat separate in a sense of the remnants getting Thrawn to come back. But when I think of what could possibly be like that powerful, like when Balin says power more than you could more than you can imagine. She says, Shin's like, well, what do we get out of it? He mentions power. Like, what could be like that? To me, is the level of power that it would be more than you could imagine. Because if that happens, Balin and them are now thinking we could correct our wrongs. The Empire doesn't fall. We could basically be the ones in power of everything.
Yeah,
utilizing the World Between Worlds. Not that that's what they're alluding to, but when I think of a power more than you could imagine, I'm thinking maybe that's possibly what he could be.
For those who are
and
not
they've already
aware,
talked about like these myths and stuff of like, well, I didn't know this galaxy was here, or these aliens.
the path to Peridium.
So it's like
Peridium.
Yeah.
Peridia.
So it seems like they're not afraid to shy away from these like things that maybe within world seemed ancient or legend, or those were just old stories. Those are stories of the Jedi Temple, but they're real.
Right.
It doesn't seem like they're beyond going there, but I just wonder how it will fit in with this idea of bringing Thrawn back and the mission to get him.
For those, this might not even be a good explanation. I was going to say, for any of those for those of you watching or listening who have not seen Rebels, you might not even know what we're talking about with World Between Worlds. The quick version, and correct me if I'm wrong, is basically in one of or a couple episodes of Star Wars Rebels in the final season, they discover this almost supernatural place where it's referred to as essentially a world between worlds. It's a place where all space and time basically echoes, I think is the way they describe it. Is that like essentially all events that have happened in the galaxy, like when you're in there, it's like there's these different almost portals, different entry points into time, and Ezra,
you can enter into
into it. The Emperor finds a way to get in there, and is trying to get Ezra. He's trying to get him.
Yeah.
Ezra pulls Ahsoka into the world between worlds, pulls her out of a situation in which she was going to be likely killed by Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing because it's not time machine where it's just like enter this, but it is a little bit of that of whenever a show or a movie or something goes into, we introduce a time travel or that type of a thing. There's always an exciting portion about it, and then there's always what are the consequences?
How does it work?
Just even for storytelling moving forward, does this become a thing now that like, well, why wouldn't this bad thing happen? Why wouldn't we just go back and undo it? Or why wouldn't we go back? And I do like that in Rebels, they talked about how certain things have consequences, and it kind of worked out for Ezra that the Ahsoka thing, pulling Ahsoka into the world between worlds, didn't seem to have negative effects right away.
Yeah.
But also Ahsoka then advises
that she has to go
Ezra
back to where she just was.
that she's got to go back. She has to go back to that time period and go back to that moment. But also, Ezra's like, well, then let's pull out Kanan so he doesn't die. And she's like, but this has a ripple effect. You pull out Kanan. Kanan was saving you guys.
Right.
You pull out Kanan, you die, which then kills all of us because you just saved me. This or that. And then if you're not here, I'm not here. There's a number of things. So what's interesting is I wonder. One, it's such a big concept to try to introduce into a live action show. So I've always wondered, like, would they even touch that? Does it feel more like an animated thing because you can go a little bit wackier and kind of outside the box? But the big thing I was gonna say is if they do introduce this, is this something that would need to like then be destroyed afterwards for Star Wars storytelling moving forward, or is it like bad guys are always going to try to access the world between worlds because if you can, you'll try to bring back Darth Vader, and you're not worried about the destruction because you're bad. Yeah. If millions of people die and I bring back the Emperor, we bring back the Emperor, and like it's one of those things that's interesting. Of if Thrawn does find out about it, or if the villains do find out about it. Wouldn't they just tell the next villain and then the next villain and the next villain?
Well, I thought it was interesting.
A race to get the world between worlds moving forward, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm just curious
as
to how they would handle it.
How they would destroy it, or so you can't access it, or guard it, or something like that. Like that also, becomes Ahsoka's thing. I don't know. But I did think it was interesting how, I don't remember the exact quote, but Morgan said something about Thrawn's reaching out to her between space and time.
Yeah, it definitely felt like
that felt like
World Between Worlds.
That felt World Between Worlds, as in like maybe Thrawn's already accessed it before somehow. Not, I'm just speculating, but because of the intentional wordage there of reaching out to her, connecting to her, speaking to her between time, I thought was interesting that they would that was in the same context of Balin then saying more power than.
Right. It was right in that
Is there any chance that that's not Thrawn actually reaching out to her? I've heard some people, not theories of who it could be, but I've heard some people saying Thrawn doesn't have the Force. If he is in this other galaxy, space and time could also work differently, maybe there. But it's interesting that she could like hear Thrawn across the galaxy or something like that, but that could be a World Between Worlds type of thing. We've talked about this before.
Worlds.
My biggest question, maybe, or one of my biggest questions is Thrawn, Ezra, enemies. They were literally fighting to try to destroy each other. You know, obviously Thrawn's was trying to destroy Ezra. Ezra's trying to defend himself, sends off him and Thrawn. What have they been doing together? Has this been a constant 5-year, 10-year battle of them just trying to kill each other like together one-on-one?
They've just been playing. They've just been playing chess.
They're just exactly.
You want
Ezra's,
to go ride bikes?
Ezra's using the Force, and then
go ride Purgles again.
Ezra's
That's all I got.
Let's go outside and
because
skateboard for
Thrawn's
a while.
also Thrawn's
I'm so
also
sick of
not
skateboarding.
a. Thrawn's also
skating on the tentacles of Purgle.
Thrawn's he's not a Force user either. So Ezra like uses the Force, and Thrawn like holds up artwork and like deflects it and stuff like that because it's just he loves art. So I don't know. Although in the show
Ezra, if
and
you
in
look
the
at the
books,
stroke lines,
they
of
do
this
show that
painting, you will see
Thrawn is
it's-
very good at hand-to-hand combat. They actually show
Yeah,
that's
they
part
do.
of the that's part of.
Yeah.
I do
Um,
like too that Ahsoka mentions Thrawn's not your typical.
No, I
Imperial.
like that they've.
I like that
they've-
they quickly, not just to reiterate that, but also for people who maybe hadn't seen Rebels to just
Right.
let you know
yeah,
this isn't just another Imperial, Grand Admiral or
Mm-mm.
General or whatever.
It's not
This
Tarkin.
It's not even. Yeah, it's not
This
even
is
Tarkin.
not.
It's
This is
ruthless.
someone
This
that
like,
is
this is a
has
master.
a completely different purpose for even being part of the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, not just like like
There's
you
a
said, it's
very-
not a Tarkin who just wants to work his way up and have all this power.
Yeah.
There's a very specific set of skills.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I like that they're building up the Thrawn importance because it would be like, okay, if we get one admiral back, like
Big deal.
I've seen Captain Nita. He's not gonna bring back the Piet. All these guys. I know this is different. Thrawn is a different thing in general. Mark.
Who's in there?
I don't know.
Who do we think it is?
A lot of people are saying that that's Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
That his voice, or that he was
voice is
credited
credited,
in
yeah.
the credits.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as him though. I think he's just
Just
listed as additional voices. Sam
additional
Witwer.
voice.
People are
Got
like,
it.
"What is Sam doing in this
Mhm.
show? Who is he?" So because of that, you get some of the theories of like, "Oh, is this Star Killer?"
Star Killer.
Is it Maul?
Is it Maul?
Maul cannot die. He just
He's
never will.
back.
No, I don't know. They're definitely
Wait.
starting to try to build up. They're trying to. I think that
Yeah.
the show is doing a good job of. You know how when a show knows, like, oh, this is something people are going to have questions about, so we kind of lean into that a little
Yeah.
bit. I think the show's doing that, where this isn't like the main character or even the main villain, but they first mention him by name, and then they show the character. They haven't shown the face. It's got the voice is interesting. It feels like a
Yeah.
Whitwer type of a voice.
It does.
But also they're getting just a little bit more, and so I think next episode the fight in the woods I don't know if it'll be like helmet revealed and it'll be like, oh, some big new. It could just be a new character,
Mhm.
but it's interesting, having essentially an Inquisitor that has survived this long when we thought kind of all the Inquisitors were long gone.
The last survivor.
So, right.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't know.
interested.
Did we tease a Jason Sindula on the?
We
did.
We should probably talk about that for just.
We
Nah.
we should.
Tell, Nate, tell them where they can find us.
He's back. So the Purgle
We got
had
4
these-
minutes
these
left.
chin wrinkles.
Whipple.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hey,
let's talk about Jason.
were you guys expecting that? I wasn't.
Last episode, I think I even
We
said on our
mentioned, like,
podcast
what-
that is
what
he
if-
even going to be in the show?
Is he
Is
even
it
going to be in the
possible?
show?
And then Hera says, my son, he's around here. I go, oh, he's going to be on the show. And then,
Yeah.
like 30
Well,
seconds
they said,
later,
where's Jason? How's he doing? Or something like that.
She's like, oh, I don't
he's
know.
running around.
We
here.
don't have the budget for him.
Scoundrel.
He comes running around the corner.
I did
Mom.
talk about the design in Rebels versus this. I like that they made him look more normal.
Yeah.
In Rebels, he looks like a elf creature or something
Right.
like
But
that.
they do make his hair green.
His hair's
Yeah.
green.
It's not as
but
green.
it's like even the green. I had to lean in. and was like,
It's
oh, it's like a
yeah.
brownish green.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's
they
definitely-
stayed
it's
true to
definitely
some of it. Yeah.
I looked again today at him in Rebels,
The
and he's got like
comparison.
these elephant ears, like they're just these massive ears, and like just he just looks odd.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely looks like, whoa, how are they gonna work? Even though
They
they
have a hard time in school.
Yeah,
He's gonna have
exactly.
a tough time. in school.
Sindula, you got big ears. Doesn't rhyme.
Well, bullies were never the cleverest folk.
They were not.
They
Oh, man.
weren't.
Thankfully.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that it was great that they introduced him. I would have loved a Kanan reference, as they've mentioned, as they show. Okay, we have the Sabine training with sticks. This is a
Like
a
if
Kanan
Ahsoka
sort of
would
a
have
thing.
said something to
Like,
Hera
wait,
about
But she said,
Kanan.
"Oh, you'd be a Jedi," and it's like, oh, it would be nice if
Like my
Sabine or
father.
somebody or anything. But we also
Yeah.
don't know what he knows about Kanan,
That's right.
Yeah.
because he's like, "Oh, I heard Sabine's gonna be a Jedi. Oh, I'd like to be a Jedi." And she's like, "Yeah, I bet you would." Whoa, he's gonna find out
Yikes.
that.
Yeah.
Ixnay on
Yeah,
the
so-
NIJ.
It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
if he has any place in this particular series or story other than, hey, he's obviously still a kid.
What
But
path did they take? Is it
I
an
don't know.
Owen? We don't want any part of that. Is it? He
Yeah.
must be trained.
Well,
Is
let's
Well, according
Yeah.
according to the
Fit,
Jedi
right?
Order, he's too old already.
He's too old.
but
Right.
it is so
I don't
funny
know.
how quickly they throw that Jedi Order thing away. Even Obi-Wan. So like, it's funny how they go from Anakin.
Too old.
Anakin is too old.
Yeah.
And then Anakin falls, all this happens, and some Mace Windu would maybe make the argument of, yeah, we knew it was a risk, and Anakin is maybe a cautionary tale about why we don't train people after they're already old and have developed attachments and all of that. Obi-Wan then gets that information, and they hide Luke away, and then we have like Luke not training him until he's 19, even though they
Mhm.
could have. Like, he's there,
Right.
but that's when you get the good back and forth of you don't want to know if you want to know if he's showing. Like the Owens. I love the moment where Owen's talking to Obi-Wan. But it is interesting that they go from literally his dad being too old to then Luke going, well,
I think it
maybe
makes-
he's not old enough.
I think it actually
But-
makes sense though now.
Yeah, it does.
Obi-Wan's a similar scenario of Ahsoka. Like
True.
we don't have any choice.
Yeah, exactly.
If you
The
don't learn the ways of the
desperation, you have
Force,
to.
You're our last hope.
it could die with me. I mean,
Yeah.
he knows Ahsoka's.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know out there. He knows
Yeah.
But it might be
Yoda's out
interesting
there,
that
but
they don't
still.
train him earlier, maybe.
I
Did
think
they
that
try
was.
to avoid?
I think they answered that with Owen saying,
Yes,
Saying,
exactly.
no,
"Back
we
off."
don't want
Exactly.
We
I
gotta
think that they
keep
handled that well.
We got to keep him safe.
So I
Yeah.
wonder
I think it
though
could
with
fit.
Hera,
Yeah.
I guess the explanation might be Hera's not a Jedi, and
Who would train him?
In that, unless Ahsoka
Ahsoka?
wants to train him,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where like, well, when you're naturally good at sports later on, I'll have a conversation with you.
Exactly.
And say, well,
Yeah.
you have the Force is why you hit 500 home runs in the game today, son. That's not normal. Did you notice that none of the other kids can reach the fence yet?
You notice nobody else was force pulling the baseball in with
Exactly.
the glove?
Exactly.
Hey, stop using the Force.
You know how, son? You know how you've never ever swung and missed ever? That's not normal.
It's like
Hey,
Incredibles.
Force running.
It's like Incredibles when they tell Dash not to run fast.
Right.
Like, go.
It's
slow
awesome.
down, slow down.
Second, go to second. Right.
Exactly.
Oh man.
No, that's
yeah.
He will
he's
be
back.
trained.
That
He
I
will
was
be trained.
shocked. I mean, first they asked,
Maybe
how's
Ezra
Jason
returns
doing?
and
Where
trains
is he?
him.
Then they actually, I was like, oh, they mentioned him, and then he's actually running around the corner.
Yeah.
I thought
That would
was cool.
actually be cool if down the line, if Ezra returns and Ezra trains him
That would be.
as a person who learned from his father.
That would
Yeah.
That would be cool. And
Have you heard of the world between worlds?
The interesting thing is the
listen,
more
Jason, Kanan was it. Kanan was it. Jason, like,
Jason.
slow down.
Jason's like, I'd rather not learn the Force.
and Jason
My
being
gosh.
Ezra.
This is why my dad died. It's 'cause
It
I
gets
listened to
interesting
you.
the more Force users, the more waves that we create, the more questions it has. Like why have we not heard this before?
Yeah.
yeah.
You always have to balance. It makes sense. Ahsoka, Sabine, they're going to be going to another galaxy.
Yes.
That
true.
explains Thrawn's out there. That kind of explains why we didn't hear about
But
this.
if they're
stuff.
around, why are they
like,
not
why
part
are
of
they
the
not in the
galactic?
mix? Mon
Yeah.
Mothma's right there. What's
They're guarding the world
They
between
were-
worlds
they're
for the rest of
guarding-
time.
for all time?
Mon Mothma, small note, Mon Mothma ages very well.
Does.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. She looks pretty similar to how she looked in Andor, which, again, it's not like it's been 50 years later,
No.
but it's
Couple.
she's, relatively human.
Right.
Relatively human. Ahsoka you can get away with because
Ahsoka you can get away with because, would there's a number of kind of human characters that you're like, I'm not exactly sure.
I think
how
Obi-Wan
old,
made up for the aging of everybody
How
else.
old is Bo-Katan? Because she's aging pretty well too.
Yeah.
But they did. I think they explained that Bo-Katan even though she's played by Katie Sackhoff in Clone Wars, that she's supposed to be like a teenager or like 18
She's
or
pretty
something
young.
like that. She's supposed to be
Yeah,
relatively
yeah,
young,
yeah.
and 30 years later she's like in her 40s or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know.
Right.
Ahsoka's the same way.
Yeah.
Really young.
I know we're getting close to the end here, as far as our time for the morning show. I don't know why I said it like that, but I have a couple of questions as far as predictions, things that are going to happen. We do know that Hayden Christensen is in the show.
Yep.
We have heard his voice. Do we predict, if we had to make a bet now, is that let's say there's 3 options. Is this a flashback scene like, we'll say like in Obi-Wan, like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where they just start, it's a flashback scene and they're training and they're doing that. So it's just a typical, like a classic flashback. Is this a world between worlds situation? Or do we think this is a Force Ghost situation where it's a current situation in Ahsoka's timeline where it's in the same time period where they're looking for Thrawn and Ezra, but she's meditating in this and she talks to Anakin. Do we think of those 3 scenarios? What do you think is the most likely?
Is there another possibility?
There's always another
3.
possibility.
Okay. So I would say
not
set
the
that thumbs up,
arbiter of all
thumbs
this.
down. 1, flashback. 2, what was the other one? World Between Worlds.
World between worlds, like
3,
the actual
Force
entry.
Ghost. And on the count of 3, we'll do 1, 2, or 3.
Ooh,
for our
I like it.
prediction.
Oh.
3 is a Force Ghost. 2 is World Between Worlds. 1 is flashback.
Okay.
Flashback, World Between Worlds. We do it one more time. Force Ghost. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Oh.
3, 3.
Three.
I was
One.
going back between 3 and 1.
3 and 1, I
The
think.
only thing I was thinking of, as far as why
3
I
being
said
Force
1.
Ghost.
Well,
1 being flashback.
yes.
2 would have been World Between Worlds.
So for 3, the dialogue we've heard is interesting. So yeah, he could be talking to her about this current war versus the Clone Wars.
Right.
You're gonna face more than
Yeah.
just droids. Hello, Anaheim. That's not part of the thing.
Hello,
but I can't do the
Anaheim.
voice without doing it.
He throws that in there. That'd be awesome.
I know you can do this, Ahsoka. Yeah, that definitely does feel like that could be talking about, hey, your this battle per se, or this thing you're coming up against with Thrawn. I know you know who Thrawn is, and I know that's obviously the Ghost crew knows very well who Thrawn is, as they had on confrontations with him. But like, this is a bit like, essentially, like, be careful. This is a big thing. This is not this is not the organized Jedi effort that we had when we were going up against Dooku and the Clone Wars and all this, and you're
Right.
facing battle droids every day, and you're not really that worried about dying, except for her confrontations with the other Force users, are really the only times that she was in great danger. This is a different thing where Thrawn's a mastermind of this, and there's political scheming. Morgan Elsbeth's a Night Sister. There's a lot of things going on there, so I could see that being, I could see that being
Good fit. Force
being that
Ghost.
fit.
Yeah.
Is that why? What are some reasons why you think it's most likely a Force? Did you say Force Ghost?
Yeah.
Force Ghost.
Force Ghost, I think, it does a couple of things. It allows us to talk about things that have happened rather
Yeah.
than things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
It also would fit with allowing Ahsoka to get some resolution,
Yeah.
which a flashback wouldn't do.
Yeah, that's true.
know what I
That's
mean?
just revisiting
Yeah.
something she had already.
It might be
flashback
more me
wouldn't do.
wanting that to happen because
Yeah.
I want that moment.
I want
And
the
it
current
could-
Ahsoka to
It
talk
could
to.
totally be,
Yeah.
and things happen in Star Wars that we don't see. So they could have a Force Ghost encounter where they're talking about things that have already been settled. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, we don't. I would love to have that moment where she has that realization, but
Yeah.
it would also allow. If not, it would allow us to realize. Wait a minute. Sith don't have Force Ghosts.
Yeah.
This is a redemption
Yeah.
That's
moment
interesting.
here.
Mhm.
I just think there's a lot of things
I
about
think it'd
it.
be
I
cool
like.
too, because like, it's not something like when we talked about this with The Last Jedi. It wasn't a fitting opportunity per se to have Hayden Christensen come back as a Force ghost to appear to Luke
Yeah,
on
that
screen.
wouldn't make sense.
That
Because
would make
just
sense.
acting-wise, it wouldn't feel seeing a younger Hayden Christensen give advice to an older
Yeah,
Mark Hamill
Yeah.
who
wouldn't-
has lived a lot
Who's
longer
lived a
life
lot
as a
longer
Jedi.
life.
and-
exactly.
wouldn't
Be
feel
interesting.
right
Wouldn't-
on
wouldn't make
screen. It
sense.
wouldn't come
Right,
across the
right,
way.
right.
But this now that opportunity could be.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen
'Cause there's
speaking
always-
to
there's
an
already that
Ahsoka,
history
'cause
there.
There's already the history of her
Mhm.
being the Padawan.
Yeah, they're
So I think it's a
legitimately
good opportunity
Padawan and
for
Force
that.
compared to one
Seeing-
another. Where Luke and Anakin were never.
Yeah.
Seeing
never knew
him
his father.
young and whole and positive, and
Yeah.
it would be just for her like
Yeah.
the ultimate boost.
Yeah.
So I
think.
could see it being a
Mhm.
flashback. I think it would also be, it could add some of that character development and just another teaching moment for
Could be
to get Hayden Christensen back.
right.
To do that. Obviously, we know he's in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, the rumors would say otherwise, but again, they're rumors, so who knows? But I think the Force
Not sure.
Ghost and Flashback are probably most likely
Yeah.
than World Between Worlds, even
Yeah.
though a lot of the rumors are pushing towards World Between Worlds. But I think that's people just speculating, hopefully, that would happen because they want to see maybe that happen.
I
But
mean,
I feel like it's more realistic to not go that
there were
route.
Yeah.
legitimate rumors that so many people were going to show up in Book of Boba Fett that just
That
didn't
never
Right.
happened. Yeah.
So even some of the most like credited rumors that are like usually from good sources,
like me.
there's I didn't want to say it, but Uncle was the #1 pusher of fake
Sir.
news,
Fake Solo.
fake Solo. No, no, there's just a lot that goes around, or people go,
Right.
oh, this, and then people run with it, and then it becomes
Yeah.
20 different places that say, for sure, Harrison Ford will be in this, and I'm like, well, that does sound pretty good, and
Makes
then
sense.
it
Doesn't
stemmed
pan
from
out.
something that was partly true that someone took a leap with, and then it just you're like,
Yeah.
huh, it was close, but maybe he was just there because. He wanted to
there.
get he needed validation for parking one day, and he's
Could
like, "I'm
be.
not paying for this." And he was just coming there to fight a ticket or something he got. That was that. That's
Yeah,
all it
I think
was.
those options are most likely. I know we got to wrap it up, but I think those are probably the most likely.
I'm excited.
Even though World Between Worlds would be cool, it's probably a lot harder for them to do on screen,
Mhm.
live action.
Yeah.
Especially with for an audience that has not everybody seen Rebels.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to introduce that.
Mhm.
Not that they couldn't do it; they very well may
we
do it.
can.
But-
We've only got 5 episodes
But
left,
Man.
right? There's 8 episodes total. We've had 3. I think next episode is going to be fantastic as far as just. I feel like the setup has been complete now almost. We've been setting up. We've been gearing up.
Yeah.
We've been going. We've known as Rebels fans that the search for Ezra is a big portion of.
I think
the
they
main thing
jumped.
of this. Whoa!
I'm going back
He changed.
The jump.
So
at the
you're
end of the
saying-
episode.
At the end, they make the
So
jump.
you're saying
At the
this will
end, they
happen?
make the jump,
You'll
but without Ahsoka.
fight in the woods.
Ahsoka has to catch a Purgle to ride.
Oh yeah.
On her
Woo.
own.
So you're saying fight in the woods, the battle in the woods.
Ends with a jump.
Wait, and then we got Ahsoka and Balin because that happens there.
Yeah. When we're already there, that's why I think
And
it
then
might
you
end
think
with
they're
a
gonna-
jump.
Well, the
because we're
challenge
already
is,
there.
how do they go? They have to be on the ship.
They have to be on there to
They
go.
have to
have
be
to.
on there with them, and they all
Which
go.
would mean they lose.
All
And
the
fight,
yeah.
they get captured.
Ahsoka has to get captured so that she can go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Interesting.
Could happen. I think
I
so.
can't wait to find out.
Hey, I'm ready for it.
Scale's
But
been epic so far. I think
There you have it.
Feels huge.
Ahsoka. We're 3 episodes in. I'm ready for next
Ahsoka.
episode. Let us know what you guys think. If you made it this far, thanks for tuning in, especially to our new time if you're watching live with the morning show.
Let us know what you think of the time.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are very curious what you all think. Do you like the us going live in the morning and then having it aired basically for anybody to hop on throughout the day?
Star Wars guys
But-
in the morning.
Yeah,
Do you like the morning show? I like
morning show. So there you have it. Let us know what you guys think, if we should keep this time and keep moving forward with this. But thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Hey, what's that flashing? Hey, what's that flashing? That's no
Ezra.
move. Now we're just
Oh.
doing off
Just
camera.
taking
We
that
had all of
first
our
step
quick
into a larger
one-liners
world.
from A New Hope.
Right.
Someone get this walking carpet out of my way. No.